Yeah, but normally, yes. It tunes in, I guess. Good morning.
Have a good Shabbos. I love you. Bye.
Rabbi, I just have a quick question. If you're in the airport, let's say you prayed, you put on your tefillin yishtabach, right? When do you say? Do you say Vaydaber there, or do you wait? So somebody said you wait till afterwards. Do you not say it at all?
Wait till after while it's on, they say.
After. Okay.
So here every morning now I pray till Yishtabach, I finish Yishtabach, and they start to put tefillin. I start to say, oh, then I put my tefillin. I can't go so fast.
It's so fast.
So when then you say Vaydaber at some point.
No, after the tefillah.
Yeah,
But the truth is, Eli, by Taber you can say even before. Remember, we put here approximately 15 minutes after Alot HaShachar. We say by Taber 6:15 every day. I mean, this is what they do.
Without your tefillin, you know.
Of course.
But I thought the connection is to put your tefillin with that's the whole point of it. Because we don't say it on Shabbat.
This is the right.
That's what I
This is the
thought.
right thing to do. But since we are not doing it as we
I see.
only for these days, you know, it's much better to say before, you know, you realize that.
Frank, I know some Yans do this all the time, but if we were to change the clock, that's going to be our practice.
Yeah, okay.
If we don't change the clock, it ends up.
It's 2 and 2.
The main, good morning, the main page 250. Here, the drama that started in Parashat Vayeshev went to Parashat Miketz. The drama comes to the
Climax.
in this parasha. If Yehuda really cares for the sake of the father, look a second what Yehuda is saying. He is trying to make yourself feel how bad, how reluctant Yaakov was before he gave permission to take Binyamin. One of my children was killed already. ולקחתם גם את זה מעם פניי וקראו אסון, ועתה כבואי אל עבדך אבי ועלה אלינו איתנו ונפשו קשורה בנפשו. My father is very attached. היה בראותו כאין הנער במת. The question is, why didn't you think before, 22 years before? זה קושיה רצינית. So the Rabbi Finkel wants to say something very interesting. I mean, theoretically speaking, you're a member of the Sanhedrin. Unfortunately, your father is the one who is accused. I would like to get out of my father is a regular person. If I'm a member of the Sanhedrin, even though the outcome will be 39 lessons to my father, this is my obligation as a member. So he says,
So how's that connected?
if let's finish what Rav Finkel said. Says Rav Finkel, before they sold Yosef, they assembled, they had the Din Sanhedrin, they went back and forth. But they decided that legally, we know now how wrong they are, but when they decided that legally they are right, he knew for sure that Yaakov is going to be terrible. So what can we do? Remember, if it's a big if, they assume that what they did before was right. Of course, the big question was, why didn't you consult your father? Forget now, it's right or wrong.
So what made them think that they were wrong? Only because they what would happen that Benjamin was included?
No, so all the commentators raise a simple question. Last week we ended the parasha, and Yehuda says each one of us is a slave, including Binyamin. And he is saying, no. Binyamin is staying here, and you are going back. So what makes him change his mind now? Vaydash alav Yehuda is coming to. The answer is, by now they realize that they are paying the price. They made the wrong decision.
This is what's telling them. They're in connection from 20 years before. That decision was wrong.
Now, if our punishment would be we are becoming slaves of Yosef. This is mamash midah keneged midah.
Nice.
Now that he is telling them, you go home. We are the ones that made the mistake, not Binyamin. Now Yehuda understands that he has a personal grudge or personal plan against them. This is why he's going so strong or diplomatic or any way you want.
But he didn't know it was Yosef then, but it's still,
No, he didn't know, but,
but still he's
like
just,
now he figures out this. What happens now is not a punishment.
wow. It's like saying 22 years, I did not do anything else wrong, so I know that connection is,
No, but
it's tough to say.
Think about it. We sold our brother to a slave, and we are.
Becoming slaves.
He's suggesting. He's suggesting
Okay.
that our punishment should be.
Yeah, give it to me.
We are slaves. We deserve it. But now that it doesn't look like it. ולא יכול יוסף להתאפק לכל הניצבים עליו, ויקרא הוציאו כל איש מעלי, ולא עמד איש איתו, והתוודע יוסף על אחיו. Why is he taking out all the Egyptians? Kol ish means all the Egyptians. He had many bodyguards there, because everyone understands. The Midrash says that he exposed himself to death. As far as he knows, he might be finished in 10 minutes. They might lose it here. This is our brother, we vote, yes? He decided I cannot embarrass, this is I cannot embarrass my brothers in front of the Egyptians. ולא יכול means I cannot humiliate my brothers. הוציאו כל איש מעליי, ולא עמד fine. Look a second, he starts to cry. The Egyptians hear it. ויאמר יוסף אל אחיו ועוד אני חי, ולא יכלו אחיו לענות אותו, כי נבהלו מפניו. So what is he saying in the next passage? ויאמר יוסף אל אחיו גשונה אליי. What is he adding that he didn't say before? גשונה אליי, ויאמר אני יוסף אחי שמכרתם אותי מצרימה. Many commentators say, perhaps you might think I met Yosef, and Yosef gave me
Information.
I have information now that no one knows. שמכרתם אותי מצרימה. You are the one.
It's,
But now he's making sure that they understand I'm the real one. Don't think there is a game here. According to Rashi, he showed them that he had the Brit Milah. According to Rashi, otherwise, what is the Geshuna line?
it's interesting that the word Vayigash and Geshu right away twice. I mean, how often do we have that? You know, it's interesting.
Yeah. The Orach Chaim says something fascinating. You hear? When he says Otziu Kol Ish Me'alav, Kol Ish means the Egyptians. Who is staying in the room now? It's Yosef, his brothers, and Menashe. Menashe is the Melis. When he says to them, Geshuna Elah, he says the Orach Chaim, Vayomer Ani Yosef. He whispers. He doesn't want his son to find out that his uncle is so. Geshuna Elah Vayigashu. The Orach Chaim says he whispered.
That's why Vayigash.
He whispered. Yes. So Menashe, you stay there. Can you please come a little closer? Vayigashu. Vayomer Ani Yosef.
No,
Rabbi Prague,
Yes.
it's interesting as I'm thinking about it now. Again, another word that ties the whole story because Geshuna, when he says, doesn't Yitzchak say that when he's giving the bracha and he says, come close?
Gshana v'amushcha beni.
Right. When the
Very nice.
So here we go. So you have Vayigash here, Gesha. Oh, wow.
If you want really to put it together, you would say that every time you want to show special closeness to someone, you say, can you please come here? It doesn't mean that physically you have to step two more steps.
Rabbi, I heard.
I'm ready to reveal. This is beautiful with it's hard.
It's like a code word. It's a code word that keeps coming up. Interesting.
Rabbi, I heard from Chacham David Yosef. He said on the David Torah on this that first he gave them tochecha, very strong tochecha, and then in order to bring them not to feel bad, he's talking now nicely to them. You did this. Hashem wanted it to happen. All these things. So, what was like? There was no. They had to know when he's telling them all these details that he knows. They know he's Yosef, without having to do anything else. He's telling them everything they did.
I didn't say it because we say it every year. The Beit HaLevi, where do you find that he's rebuking them?
in the beginning, right when he first tells them.
Listen carefully, listen carefully. There are two interpretations here. Vayomer Yosef elecha, Vayikra, Vayomer Yosef elecha, V'ani Yosef. Ahod avi charai. What do you mean
He's
Ahod?
telling it,
What do you mean
is
Ahod?
my father still alive? What you did,
Yesterday you spoke to us and we gave you the information about our father. What are you asking? Says the
he's saying,
Beit Levi is pulling the rug under Yehuda. Your main claim is nothing.
Yeah.
Because if you really care for my father, yes.
exactly.
This is the tochacha. Ahod avicha. Well, you really care for your father. What happened 22 years ago?
Could it also
You're so worried about my father. Why did you not look how he suffered all these years?
Exactly.
Doesn't Rashi say the way it's vocalized and it makes it lashon tmiyah?
This is the point. Ahod is a real. Okay, so many commentators say, did you sketch up the story? Maybe my father is not alive anymore. Now that I'm telling you, I'm Yosef, is he really alive? Rabbi Shmuel Levitz says the best shot, if you know, is there. The biggest rebuke to a person is to show in black and white you are wrong from step day one. It is. By saying Ani Yosef, he knocked them down. Yeah, this is the tochacha. You made a judgment, you were sure you never nothing. Everything that you were planning was the exact opposite. He said, this is the best, this is the biggest.
Does he say anywhere when he says Ani Yosef that he switches to Lashon HaKodesh? From probably speaking to
Makes sense. Eli is saying, most likely he's saying, because right now that the Egyptians are out, yes. Now, the best way, I mean, guys, we are mature adults, the best way to comfort someone is to remove the guilt. From you. This is exactly what you're saying.
That's how he comforted them after.
Guys, look at the big pictures. You were pawns in the big game. Hashem had a plan, and you are part of it. It's brilliant. I told you once that Ezra Hana, I heard that there is a Sephardic custom. You come back from a cemetery, you sit down, you say the pasuk, Yabenu lo shafchu et hadam hazeh. Ezra says that few places. You come back from the hospital, it's your fault. I told you to go to this doctor. Why didn't you go to this hospital? Why did you go to this? The guilt. What do you say by Glavufa? Means the plan from Hashem, we did not kill the guy. When you sit down for Shiva, his time is up. Rabbi Shulkin in his book, Rabbi Shulkin has a sefer, the Megad Yevot Olam. His father was a tremendous Talmid Chacham. He had real heart problems. He died from the heart problems. When he said Shiva, you hear right? Rabbi Shulkin at that time was young. He says to the people, it's really the doctor's fault. Because the doctor thought it's the nerves and this, he did it. His father died in his early 60s. He says, as I'm saying it, Rabbi Feinstein walks into the Menachem Abel. And he says, Michal, his name was Michal, don't ever say it.
Oh, you heard it.
No, you heard this. He says, people don't die because doctors make mistakes. Doctors do make mistakes. Should be careful. Your father died because his time came up. Time is up. It happened. The doctor didn't.
Was the point?
Now, it's easy to say.
What's the name of that doctor? You want to know?
But this is the 60s, most likely.
You're busy for weeks, months, you're doing your Yishtadlot, and then the second it happens, you have to change, say, boop, that's from Hashem. You have to make a transformation.
Guilt and fights and blames, because we like to blame. Blaming doesn't do anything. The man is already in a wooden box in the ground. Question is, can we move?
Blaming does something. Everybody does it.
He does it only
psychological something, right? It doesn't change.
Of course.
I love to play.
No, but if you really believe, honest, it's the opposite. If you really believe it's from Hashem, psychologically, you're better off than not having guilt. I could have called this doctor, I could have called that doctor.
No, the switch is the best.
Yeah.
The switch is, yes.
I read last night in the class, I do everything, maybe. Oh no, I put it already in the book. Rabbi Tarragon Moshe, well, his son was seriously injured.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So he wrote in the Jewish press last week, here I am sitting 5 weeks by my son's bed. He said, in the beginning, I'm asking myself, why me and my wife? Why my son? Then I started to realize, but look at the people around us. How much worse than me. My son is alive. His best friend died at the same.
Wow.
So no, but he had the guts to analyze what went through his mind. And then he says, look, everyone around, we help each other. And this is the only way to look straight, not to look right, left, or back. Let's move forward. It takes guts to put it in writing. You understand? No, but
that Rabbi Target even asked the question.
but the
He's
answer,
very human. He's very human.
the answer is everyone deep inside has the question. The question is how do you answer the
How do you
question?
find the answer? Yeah.
Everyone, everyone has a question. Look further. Yosef is suggesting that everyone should go. They should go back, and again he's telling them it's not you. To show you how far he really believes it, it's not them. Look a second at the end of Parshat Vayechi. After Yaakov died, the brothers couldn't believe that Yosef has such a power to forgive. So they figured while Yaakov was alive, out of respect to the father, look a second at page 288. The fabricated story, it's a shekel what they tell him.
Yeah.
Yosef, Anna, Sana, Pesha, Achecha, V'chatatem. Your father on his deathbed told us to tell you, please forgive us. Vayev, Yosef, starts to cry. This is 17 years later. וילכו גם אחיו ויפלו לפניו ויננו לך לעבדים. This is good. Here is repeating what he told them 17 years ago. ויאמר עליהם יוסף, אל תיראו, כי תחת אלוהים אני, ואתם חשבתם עליי רע, אלוהים חשבה לטובה למען, אסור כיום הזה. Look at the Rashi, only Yosef can say. Look at the Rashi. Rashi says, second, וידבר, איפה זה? Look at it, וידבר על ליבם, וידבר על ליבם. Look at the Rashi on the left column. דברים המתקבלים על הלב. עד שלא ירדתם לכאן, you never pay attention to this side of Yosef in Egypt. היו מרננים עליי שאני עבד. All the Egyptians, here is a white Jew, a slave, who sat in jail. ועל ידכם נדע שאני בן חורים, ואני הורג אתכם. מה הבריות אומרות? כד של בחורים רע ונשתבח בהם ואמר החיים. This is my brothers at the end, he killed them. יש לך אח, תשמע. דבר אחר, 10 נרות, תיריס, לא יכלו לכבות נר אחד, you are 10 candles. You're planning to kill me, you didn't succeed. How can I? Which means you see clearly that this was the end of Hashem. Now listen, one more line in Rashi about Pele. Rashi says, Rashi doesn't bring it. The Midrash says, he tells them it is, if you are trying to poison someone, and by mistake you're giving him wine instead of poison. You hate the guy. You wanted to poison me, but look what you did. You made me a king. The question is, Yaakov.
I think Or Chaim brings that.
Right, it's a midrash. Right. It's a famous midrash. The question is, and everyone knows that Rabbeinu Bachye here says, but the word I forgive you, he never said. And he says, right, and he says that this is why I had a kid in class that really misbehaved and I gave it to him, but I gave it to him too much. So the next day I come to class publicly, I say in front of everyone, would you forgive me? He says, yes. I told him, please don't nod your head, please say, I forgive you. I said, why do I have to say it? The question is, why didn't he say the word "I forgive you"?
The two ways, either he didn't think it was necessary,
Right. Normally,
or
you,
he didn't
normally-
forgive them.
More
right.
difficult.
Normally you learn that he didn't think it's necessary. I saw this as only fascinating.
Wasn't
But
as a
let's- but-
kapara? Did he
but-
use it as a kapara? It was a kapara. He wanted them to have kapara. That's why he didn't forgive him. Maybe
Well,
verbally.
But later in Vayechi, the father thinks that he's going to hate them. He's,
This is what they say. This is what they say that you told them. Listen, I saw this here, all the years I thought Agila. Oh, it's not necessary. I already told you that I'm looking on it this year. I saw. Imagine if Yosef would have stayed with his father. At the age of 17, his father told him everything. He would have stayed another. Says, and this I cannot forgive you because you're human being. It's not
I
me.
lost the time.
I can
It was
forgive
22
you on
years.
money. I can forgive you on humiliation.
But after
I
22
can
years,
forgive you.
boy.
It says you took away from me being with my
13
father
years.
and growing from the experience.
Oh, growing.
זה מעניין מאוד, מעניין מאוד. הוא אומר, זה לא שייך לי. אתה מבין?
לא
I can
שייך.
forgive you, you owe me money, I forgive you. Humiliated, yes. פשט יפה מאוד, okay.
But he sent Yaakov to Goshen. He didn't want to learn anymore.
Okay, so the question now, here what you, so Sammy says, but his father comes and he sends him to Goshen. Says the Ramban, תשמע מה שהרמב"ן, לא תאמין מה שאומר הרמב"ן. He never stayed 1 minute alone with his father because he was afraid. No one.
His father's going to ask him
Where
all the
were
questions.
you? מה קרה? He was afraid if I would tell him
He
the
didn't want to
truth, who
spill the
knows?
beans.
He says, out of protection, תשמע מה שאומר.
But he said Yaakov never knew the story, maybe.
לא ידע ב100%. רש"י seems to disagree. רש"י seems to disagree. זאת אומרת, כל כך היה אכפת לו. האחים שלו, לא רצה אף פעם, I'm a king, I'm busy, you stay with the brothers, we say shalom to each other, this, that.
Rabbi, we know that he never spent any time. You've gone over this a number of times with his father.
This
Did he
is
spend
the
any time?
seems
Good,
to-
but I have a question. I got a further question.
to disagree.
Did he spend any time with his brothers? Did any of the brothers interface, or they were all in Goshen?
All in Goshen, but this is not a wonder that he did not. But his father, he should have told his father, I built an extension to my palace. Come stay with me now for the rest of the 17 years.
Be a manager, be a minister.
He didn't do all of that. This is the question. Rashi seems to say that he knew. Why? Because Rashi says, look a second in Parashat Vayechi, next parasha, when Yaakov is really rebuking Shimon and Levi, look a second at page 276. You see clearly that according to Rashi, he did know. Page 276. שמעון ולוי אחים, כלי חמאס בכורותיהם. קראו שור, ארור הפעם כי עז ועברתם כן. Look at the Rashi. שמעון ולוי אחים, בעצה אחת על שכם ועל יוסף. על שכם ועל יוסף. ויאמרו איש אל אחיו ואתה לכו ונהרגהו. מי? אם תאמר ראובן ויהודה הרי לא הסכימו. אם תאמר בני השפחות, הרי לא אתה שנאתם שלמה, שנאמר והוא נער את בני בנה. בני יששכר וזבולון, יהודיס לא היו מדברים, they would never speak in front of the older brothers. על כורכך, שמעון ולוי. Then he says later, יקחו שור, look at the left column in ראשי, בהפעם הרגו איש, אלו חמור באנשי שכם. וכן, כן? וברצונם יקחו שור, רש"י says, רצו לעקור את יוסף, שנקרא שור, שנאמר בכל שורו הדר לו. According to Rashi, somehow, Yaakov knew about it. But, unlike the Ramban says that he was afraid, who knows how he's going to punish his brothers. Look further. Let's see now the dramatic point when Yaakov is meeting Yeshpo, there are multiple questions, multiple interpretations. Look a second and Pasuk, first page 254. פסוק 14. ויפול על צווארי בנימין אחיו ויהב, ובנימין בכה על צוואריו. Now this pasuk is, Sammy, everyone was trying to change it. Sorry. Everyone understands it emotionally, everyone is crying. Why is the Torah emphasizing? Look at the interesting Rashi. ויפול על צווארי בנימין אחיו ויהב, על שני מקדשות שעתידים להיות בחלקו של בנימין וסופן להיחרב. ובנימין בכה על צוואריו על משכן שילה. Fine. Let's say he has a vision on the future. This is the time to cry on something that is going to happen hundreds of years later. I mean, remember that he reveals himself. He meets his brother now, sees his faith. Shema Tov. Says the Be'er Yosef. Yosef is saying to his brother, if my suffering of 22 years taught us a lesson, I'll be happy. But look at the Churban is coming from Sinat Chinam, which means nothing we didn't learn a lesson. But הוא לא בוכה על החורבן. He says, I understand my suffering. If we learn a lesson from it, good. But תסתכל, this is a big, a big
But the Churban,
בית שני. בית ראשון.
bite sheni is only Yehuda.
No, it's Binyamin.
Okay, אם תסתכל, if you look good in the Netziv and see his
No.
commentator, he said,
Binyamin and Yehuda were fighting.
he
No, זה
said,
לחלק of Binyamin. The מזבח זה לחלק of Binyamin only.
No, but there was a.
No, he's saying bite sheni,
Yes,
Shenat
you're
Achim.
תשמע, says the Netziv,
Okay, it's a difference in that.
says the Netziv, even by Rishon there was a similar Chinam. The difference between Rishon and Sheni is, Beit Rishon was Sinat Chinam. You can see in every shtivel, people are arguing, sure, but the leaders lived in peace. Beit Sheni, even the leaders, but the concept of learning,
Even within the Shed.
correct, fine.
But the Midrash that said the Ra'ab ended when Yaakov,
For 2 years.
but
Two opinions,
Shad
two-
is against it.
נכון, there are two,
First we sold the cattle, then the
Yeah,
land.
there
then
are
the
two-
No, there's a pasuk. There's a
there's
pasuk.
two opinions.
They
Two-
come to him and after 2 years, after they sold, they said, okay, give us wheat so we can plant. What are you planting? So Rashi says, it's over.
But
That's
the
they
next
wanted.
year,
They sold their cattle 1 year, then they sold their 2 years. The next year they sold their bodies and their land.
Then the bodies. And that was already the third year.
They're coming to Yaakov. Look at 256. They're coming to Yaakov.
Why do they want to say that anyway?
Pay attention to what they say to Yaakov. תסתכל 256. וישלח את אחיו, וילכו, ויאמר עליהם, אל תרגזו בדרך. It's an amazing Rashi. Why was he afraid? Without Rashi, אל תרגזו בדרך, זה what we said before, don't break each other, you. But look at the Rashi. Rashi says, אל תתעסקו בדבר הלכה, שלא תרגז עליכם הדרך.
That's in the Gemara.
זה גמרא.
What are you talking about?
זאת אומרת, Rashi, according to Rashi, Yosef understands that the brothers learned the lesson. There's no point of talking about it. What we can talk is, and the very Torah that we can learn from our experience, I said, Al Tadabu. This rule, Sammy, a fellow told me, he gave Rabbi Birnbaum from me a ride. For Lakewood. They figured, I mean, he offered the ride because he wants to talk to you. As they start the ride, he starts to talk to you, but the very Torah. Shmuel Birnbaum says, you remember the ride? Al Tadabu, but when you drive, yes.
Don't get involved.
No. So let me tell you afterwards. He said, you can ask me light stuff. The guy started to go difficult Rambam says, if you have light stuff, you can talk all the way. תרגזו הכוונה, תרגזו to argue, זה הפשט. Let's see what happens now. ויבואו ארץ כנען אל יעקב אביהם ויגידו לו לאמור, pay attention. מה פירוש המילים? ויגידו לו, סמי, לאמור. ויגידו לו, מי זה? talk me to you. תשמע טוב. סדר אורח חיים הקדוש, they knew he's very old and fragile. They are afraid if we say Yosef is alive, we will drop. ויגידו לו לאמור, you know, there are good rumors. But the pasuk is not saying it. They start to talk, you know, we came from Egypt, מדברים, יוסף, slowly, ככה אמר, לאמור.
There's no slowly that way.
What?
Once you get to the words.
No,
Yosef,
but they started to say, you know, when people talk in Egypt about Yosef, יתחיל לשמוע שיש פה משהו. ואז ככה הוא אומר, זה מאוד יפה מאוד. בפשט. מה פירוש המילים, דיוויד? עוד יוסף חי, מה זה עוד?
עוד.
מה
Good question.
זה עוד? קדושה חזקה. יוסף חי. The real comment.
So the extra word is odd, Rabbi? You're saying the extra word is odd? You're focusing on that word.
In addition, it's still, מה זה? יוסף חי.
Even being in Mitzrayim.
Say the real big commentators. It's not the physical Yosef, all Yosef, this Yosef that left you is still alive. All Yosef. This is why, look at the text, otherwise, Vayafeg libo,
Yosef
Kilo Emin
also
lahem.
wanted to tell his father that also, right? It's still the same Yosef.
But this is later what they need. This is when the brothers are coming for the first time. According to the Ramban here, the Ramban says, I disagree with Rashi. Ramban says he dropped, he lost conscious. And when וידברו אליו וכל דברי יוסף, slowly, fainted but still, but כך אומר רמב"ן, בפירוש, he looked like dead. וידברו אליו, in order to revive him, they start to slowly talk. But Rashi, this, look at the Rashi. Right. ויפג ליבו, look at the Rashi, Sammy, look at the Rashi at the right side. ויפג ליבו, נחלף ליבו, והלך מלעמים. לא היה ליבו פונה. Rashi totally learns different than the Ramban. He says he couldn't believe
Turns
it.
is far away.
You think that your sons are coming back with Benjamin and Shimon, and they're telling you a story just Yosef Chaim. What is Rashi saying? I mean, the 10 brothers are telling you Yosef is alive. What is it not? It's not April 1st, you know. He didn't believe that the Yosef that left him is still alive. Of course he knows that physically Yosef is alive. ויפג ליבו. Look. וידברו אליו וכל דברי יוסף אשר דיבר, וירא את העגלות אשר שלח יוסף. Now you understand the Rashi very deep. Yosef sent a message to tell you that he remembers the lesson. Now he believes that old Yosef, the Yosef that I left, is דבר עמוק מאוד. It's a famous story. Listen to this. A man was married a couple of years, left his wife, disappeared. A few years later, a man comes. He looked at the husband and he gives all the. I'm the guy, and he gave all the signs to the wife, private things, he knew everything.
She would recognize him ever?
A few years later. Anyway, they couldn't put the finger, maybe he is. He went to the Grav Vilna. Listen what the Grav says. The Grav says, make believe that you believe. Friday, let his father take him to shul. As they enter the shul, you tell him, okay, go sit in there.
Let's see his seat he sits in.
He asked the grandma, the guy is a cook. He knows every detail, what his wife wore, which jewelry, but the break it was shy, he would never think about it.
The what?
Divrei Kedusha.
Never think about it.
The guy is a cook. When Yaakov heard that he remembers what they learned when they left, then he believed.
Very nice.
If he has the Kedusha, if he had the guts to tell me that, obviously he's still holding it. I mean, the Pshat is not far from Pshat.
And that's what brought in the Ruach back.
But Tehillah, now listen, Sammy, תשמע דבר טוב, הלכה למעשה, Sammy is a grandfather, so am I. Jack became a grandfather. That's right.
First time?
No.
No, look at her.
Would you have a partner? Which family?
Over Jennifer.
If you say someone became a grandfather with a smile, you know it's a boy.
Ashkenazi boys.
By Hasidim, you say a Kiddush was born.
Ah, Kiddush.
A kiddush.
That's why they make
You already say girl.
Yeah, they make a Kiddush. Shemesh
What,
Malek.
Rabbi, what do the Ashkenaz do when it's
Wow,
a
that's
great
rough.
great grandchild?
Tough stuff.
What happens when your grandchild has a child, Rabbi? Where do you call
Listen,
that?
listen what I'm going to tell you. You can say it. Listen. Just again, Yaakov is revived. ויסע ישראל בכל אשר לו, ויבוא באר השבה, ויזבח זבחים, he offers a korban לאלוהי אביו יצחק. Everyone wonders, מה זה אביו יצחק? אברהם, יצחק and אברהם. Look at the Rashi said, תשמע דבר יפה. Rashi, the Gemara learns from this, חייב האדם בכבוד אביו יותר מבכבוד זקנו. The obligation of כיבוד אב ואם by your parents is דאורייתא. By grandparents, אתה חייב ודאי, not as much. אומר הכתוב, תשמע טוב, one of the real righteous people of Yerushalayim, he was like the mentor of Zalman Auerbach בהלכה, his name was Reb David Baran, היה איש מיוחד מאוד. After he became a widow, he moved into his daughter's house. Every time he needed something, he tells his daughter, tell your son that I need so and so.
Big mitzvah.
After a few weeks, the grandson says, Saba, to go to my mother, tell me. Says, if I tell you, it's a safek if you have a mitzvah d'oraita. If you tell your mother, she has a mitzvah d'oraita.
And you have a
She tells
mitzvah.
you have a mitzvah. People who look
Double.
in life. And God Hashem will come back on Sunday.
That was nice. So this way gave the daughter the kibud avayim through the son.
Shabbat shalom, Rabbi. Shabbat shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat shalom.
All the best, Rabbi.
Shalom.